Bianca. It's hysterical.
Oh, that's fun.
So
That's fun.
All right, we are back with part 2. Oh, okay, it's a little. What is going on here with the? This weather got the internet a little. I don't know about your end. Did I freeze? Okay, there I am. Okay, I'm back. All right. Give it a second.
You're on about a
How's
5
that?
seconds.
Is that better?
All right.
It'll catch up. All right.
There
all right, Mike, you can hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Can you guys hear me?
Perfect.
Yeah, we can hear you.
There's just a slight delay. That's all. There's just a slight delay. All right. We appreciate everybody joining us right now. If you have not gone and done it yet, please go like, subscribe, ring the bell. Hit us on Facebook. We are a private group now because we keep getting people sending porn links. So we're getting away from that. But please go to YouTube and like our YouTube page. We are on the quest for 200 right now. We're just a little tiny little tiny engine that could, right? We are the old voltage, right? We are trying to get there, right? We're just not trying to upset anybody. We're just here trying to have fun, right? Just trying to
have a good time.
Trying to get right. Not here for a long time, just here for a good time. So all right. So if you didn't catch part 1, it is up on YouTube now. It's you can probably go back to Facebook and watch it, but part 1, sorry. But part 2, here we go. So Mike, you ran your first show. You had somebody call in and basically change the ending of your first show in Martinsburg, James Ellsworth. So where did the relationship go from here? Because I feel like you're the kind of guy that's like, hey, I didn't like this, but
so I'll put it to you this way. Like, here's where the relationship went from there. How do I want to put this? Like, I wanted to keep the peace because that was very important to me. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I don't want to be like, I didn't even want to be accused of taking money out of somebody else's pocket because I understand how hard this is. And regardless of who likes Jimmy or who doesn't like Jimmy or who's got, the guy's a smart guy. And he's one of, as far as booking goes, he's one of the better bookers of a wrestling organization around here. I will give him that every day. However, when you have somebody who's been as loyal to you, and trust me, when I say loyalty, I have been loyal to him for years. Mm-hmm. A lot of people left during the allegations. I left for a day, and then once I got to talk to a couple of other people, I came back. We ended up finding out that the allegations that he had against him were completely false. That's a story. That's a story I'm not going to get into. That's not like it's not.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we're not going to get out. We're not going to bring up anything when this.
But I will say I'm one of 4 people that know how false those allegations were.
Gotcha.
And what actually happened. So I came by, stuck through that. And trust me, it was not easy because a lot of people, if you remember that time, ACW was persona non grata for probably about 6 months. Like, I remember when we did the first, we did a big time show with him over at Hager Hall. And I don't remember a lot, but I remember there were a couple of fans that walked out of that show over that because people still believed it. But regardless, after that very first show, I tried to repair their relationship. I told him, I was just straight up with him. I was like, I do plan on running in Hagerstown at least once or twice. And, I had my own promoter at the point in time that, I could call on to, set up all the, administrative stuff for a Maryland show. We had planned it. And we were planning on doing it because there was only really one building in town that was running wrestling, and that was 710. So Jimmy was running there, and I wanted to talk to him. I was like, look, let me take a TV taping in there. You do your first show back. Let me take a TV taping in there until I can find another building because we were working on something with somebody else. And he was just like, no, we got to do a joint show if we do anything. So I was like, you know what? Okay, we'll compromise. We'll do a joint show. Going to say right now, I made a lot of money on that show. The one thing that I noticed when we came in, and two of my right hands kind of pointed this out to me, we walked in, and our half of the show was completely booked and written before we even got in the building.
Whoa.
So we had set matchups up, and he had written how those matchups are going to go down for us, like integrated his angles in with it. So basically, while it looked like a joint show, he was trying to run an adrenaline wrestling show. And I had voiced my, like,
sure.
Yeah, one of my guys, and he was new to wrestling. He was like, dude, what's this? Because I know you would never do this. He's like, what the fuck is this? And I was just like, I'm going to call him about it. I called him about it, and I was pissed off on the phone. I was just like, look, dude, this ain't cool. He's like, oh, well, I got to get my angles over. I was like, yeah, but you don't write my shit. I voiced it to a, like, I think Hoss Hago was there trying to calm me down about it. He's like, dude, don't get bent out of shape about it. Just calm down. Like, just get through the night. So we did. And like everybody that worked for me at the time was pissed. And we're at a point in time where my relationship with Jimmy was costing me business relationships, because a month before that, I had a falling out with one of our closest business associates, who was setting up a lot of stuff for us. I mean, and trust me, when he left, like, we managed to get by for probably about a year. But when he left, it hurt, because he was doing a lot of the production, helping upgrade a lot of the production to make us look like we were, you know, to make us look like a legitimate promotion. You know,
Right.
if you went to a Voltage show, especially that first year, like, you know what I'm talking about. It was, you know, there was a lot of production value involved in those shows.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially where we were running, because I mean, the first one we were basically running that thing in the backyard of a bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, while you would have saw, like, if you've seen pictures of it, I mean, you know, like, but we dressed that place up to make it look like it was an event.
I actually thought you guys, for what it was, you guys did an absolutely good job of making that place look like a legitimate wrestling venue.
Yeah. I mean, like, the way it was like a poor man's version of remember when Monday Nitro would go do the bar tours?
Oh
Yeah. I call that, like, it was West Virginia's Club La Vila, you know. Like, we made that place look really nice. But you know, once the fall came around, we had to start going indoors. You know, we did the show at 710. I think we did a show the next month in Waynesboro, and things kind of calmed down for a bit until I was about to run my second Hagerstown show, and then there were some problems. I went and talked to another building because I didn't want to take somebody's building, because there's a lot of things you can do. You can run in the same town as somebody, don't run in the same building as somebody, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, if it's like a one-off thing and you have to do it, like if you're just trying to keep your product going for a month, I get it. Talking out with the promoter that's already running in there. There's always going to be bad feelings about it. But when you're doing it consistently, or you're going to try to bring a consistent product there, don't run in the same building as somebody else. It does no good for you. It does no good for him. So we, you know, I'm looking at this other building in Hagerstown, which it was a little bit of a downgrade from 710, but it was still something that we could make look nice. I knew we could, because we had the people in place to do it. He found out about it, and he's like, oh, well, you know, I don't think you should run in the same town. You know, Radick, just no, this isn't going to work. Like, I'm really upset you try to run in my town again. We start hearing the my town thing again.
Yeah.
So, meanwhile, he gets kicked out of 710 because they don't want to run wrestling anymore. They said they didn't make any money off of it, which I find odd, because both of the shows that went on there were sold out. And I know people were.
Do they have a bar? They have a bar in 710, correct?
Dude, they had a bar there. People were buying food. Like, I remember the first one, we got totals of what was actually made. It's like, that's one of the things I asked about. I was like, well, how much did you guys make? Because I want to make sure. You know, again, I'm still the building contact for this building, even for ACW. I wanted to make sure that they made money. So I was like, so how much money did you make? And they told me. I took a bump when I heard it, because it was a lot of money. And I was like, oh, well, you know, you guys made more money than we did. And I mean, we did good. But, you know, The second show, they said, oh, they didn't make any money, so they want $5,000 to come back in there. And no independent promotion is going to pay that. No entertainment company is going to pay that.
Jeez.
No.
Yeah.
No entertainment company is going to pay that because you can get the Maryland Theater for that.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, this is like
was that their way of just saying?
Yeah, I think that was
their
the
way of just saying that we don't want wrestling.
Yeah. So meanwhile, I'm negotiating to get into another building, and then all of a sudden he doesn't have a building. So I'm on the phone with him one night, and I'm just like, oh, well, I know a guy that has a building over here that he may be able to help you. And I was like, but you're going to have to wait till morning to call him because, I'm going to say something to him, and then he'll be expecting your call, and we can get you in there. He's like, nope, puts me on hold, calls the guy after I give him his number, and literally puts me on hold, leaves a message on the guy's voicemail. Guy calls me up in the morning and is like, who the F is this guy? And then it squashes the deal before it happens.
Jeez.
Wow. So
yeah,
why do you think all these deals were being just pulled out from underneath of you?
Well, I can tell you some of these deals were being pulled out underneath of me because I know he was starting to make significant money in town, but I wasn't going after his money. This is just going to be like Voltage going into Hagerstown was basically because I lived there and it would just be easy for me to promote there.
Sure.
I wasn't trying to step on his toes. I tried to keep up with his schedule, so I wasn't running over top of him. Like, this is for a year. I even tried, there was times where I was going out and working on sponsors for both promotions, so it was like at least he was getting some money out of the deal, Like, I was trying to do whatever I could to help him. And he was like, I don't want sponsors. I don't want a handout. I was like, it's not a handout. It's somebody sponsoring you to promote their business. He's like, I don't want a handout. It's basically he didn't want any kind of justification for me to run there.
Now, how many shows did Adrenaline run in Hagerstown a year?
4 shows a year. So, it wasn't like it was a lot. And I was going to run on the off months. Like, it wasn't like it was like a whole mess of shit. Like, it was, maybe 4 or 5 shows a year. I was going to run 2. So that would have been 6 shows a year in Hagerstown between the 2 promotions. I don't know why that would have upset him.
Yeah.
Why that was going to upset his business, because clearly, we both, after it was all said and done, we both ran there a couple of times solo, and I didn't see any drop off in his business. So let's
back up a second here.
Hold on.
Go ahead, Scott.
Hold on a second. So you're saying 4 shows a year in Hagerstown. That's 1 every 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're looking at, and again, you only ran 2 shows in Hagerstown in that time. And you said you're trying to keep up with his schedule so you weren't running over top of him. So, 1 every 3 months, you have 2 out of those 3 months that you can run one of your 2 shows.
Yep.
So you have the effect on his business should be absolutely negligible from just, again.
Oh yeah.
I'm no math genius, but just looking at it from a layman's perspective, somebody that's outside the business, there shouldn't be any major overlap if 1 show out of 1 show every 3 months and you only have 2 shows and you have the other 2 months out of each thing to find a spot to put your 2 shows in. Should be, in my view, should be absolutely no.
Scotty, I thought you were getting ready to do Steiner math there. I really thought you were going with the style. If you run 1 1/4 shows and Adrenaline runs 2 and 3.
No, but here, this is the thing. This is the thing. If there was anybody whose business I was trying so hard not to affect, it was his.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew I was going to run in Hagerstown. There was no questions about it. I was going to run there because that was the deal that we made years ago. It had always been the deal.
Verbal deal, right? Because everything in wrestling is verbal.
Oh, he wouldn't write anything down with me because then he knows he has to stick to it. Yeah. He wouldn't have.
So back up. All right, Hager Hall, that was the show that you had half your show, half his show, and he wrote the whole show, correct?
No, that was the first 7-10 show.
The first 7-10 show, okay.
Yeah.
So after that 710 show, and you were mad. I'm sure you were mad about him writing your show. Where were you at the time when the show was being wrote? Why you weren't there? Why weren't you there?
Oh no, the thing is, I showed up before anybody at the building. It's just so normally when like Jimmy's not there yet.
Okay.
He's doing a convention down in Baltimore. I think it was Celeb Fest or something going on that weekend. So Jimmy's doing a convention down in Baltimore with 2 people. I'm the first one at the building. I'm getting Nick in with the ring, getting everybody in, basically getting everybody in the building, getting all the logistics and stuff set up. Dealing with the building owner, the whole 9. Nick comes in, hands me the script because Jimmy sends him down with it. And I read the show. I was just like, well, this isn't going to work because it's going to contradict one of our angles. Why is he even doing this? You could have just left this alone. It was
What made you think now, and you could tell me if you've done this before, what made you think that you were going to be able to run 2 separate shows, 2 separate storylines, and not be able to talk with Ellsworth ahead of time to get this stuff laid out?
Well, no, there was just no conversation about it whatsoever. I laid out my matches and I was just like, I was basically laying this out like it was going to be a spot show. There weren't going to be any storylines advanced. It was just going to be like guys going out there.
Makes sense. Makes total sense.
That's the best way. That's the way I've always seen joint shows work successfully.
So if you're running just a spot show, why was his storylines, why did it conflict with anything you had going on if you really didn't have any storyline?
Well, I'll give you a good example. Everywhere that you go, Riot City's Most Wanted consists of Sickened, Ron Holiday, Eric Ecton, and Jason Drake. In ACW, Ron Holiday and Eric Ecton are not in Riot City's Most Wanted. They got them in a goofy gimmick called the New Age Job Squad.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's the only promotion where they're not in Riot City's Most Wanted. So when you go into a town, like maybe when you know you're working with another promotion that has all these 4 guys together, maybe not have them interact on the show.
Sure.
You know, like we get that, but there were situations where they interacted. There were situations where, I remember our women's match, they had Blackout come in at the end of the women's match. And when I say this, I have no issues at all with Claude and Robbie. They've been nothing but 100% great to me over the years.
Who's Claude and Robbie?
Blackout.
Okay.
So that'd be Ruckus and Robbie Illuminati.
Got you.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no issues with them whatsoever. They've been great to me over the years. But them coming in at the end of a match that was on a fucking spot show, like it made no sense. What angle are you trying to progress there? Like there was no reason to do it.
So, all right. So you guys fall out at the 710 show. I'm gonna call it the 710 show. I'm sure
we didn't fall out quite yet.
That was the beginning. Or not the beginning.
It was the beginning.
That was sort of where you start to think to yourself, hey, what the fuck is going on here? This is not what we have talked about. So 710 show didn't go the way you wanted it to?
No, it didn't go the way I wanted.
You made a little bit of money.
We made some money. We made some money, but it didn't go exactly how I wanted it to. I couldn't really use anything for TV property, which delayed our television deal by 1.5 years. Which was a big deal for me because at the time I had some pretty big sponsors that were going to jump on, and that didn't happen. It caused a big rift between a bunch of my business partners or people I was doing business with. It fucked a lot of shit up. So the month after I'm doing business with them, because we're all bringing in James Storm, so I had to kind of keep the peace. He had James Storm somewhere on Friday, I had him on Saturday, and then he had him somewhere else on Sunday. So
that was the Waynesboro show, right? You had him in
Waynesboro? Yeah, and that's the one. Like I think we sold every single ticket available for that show. Yeah. I mean, the building wasn't big. It was like maybe 120, 130 tickets, but
it's a little tiny community center across the street from a church. Yeah, it's not the biggest.
It's not the biggest building, but it was a good start for Waynesboro.
Sure.
So we go and we run that Waynesboro show. And then it was like I was trying to set him up for the January deal where he kind of called the guy unannounced I was talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
That really pissed me off just because like it squashed the whole deal and it made me look like an asshole at the same time.
Right.
And there had been multiple instances of this over the last year. Like I remember when I booked him 710 in the beginning, like there was no problems, but when we were coming back from the pandemic, he's like, I don't think that building's big enough to run wrestling. I need to come down and see it. So I made an appointment. He came down, he saw it. I took pictures of it, of the inside, pointed out, like they had this big glass square in the middle of the floor. And I was like, the ring will fit almost perfectly over top of that. And basically after that, it's just, guardrail seating. You'll be able to fit probably 200 to 300 people in this building.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe you, Radick. I need to come down and see it again. And he would do this just like constantly. And I think he brought somebody the one time, but he was just like, I don't believe you. I'll come down and see this. I need to come down and see this again. You don't know what you're doing when you're booking buildings. So I need to make sure that you know.
And this is after you booked buildings for him in the past.
Uh-huh.
He's
every single one in this is a theme you're going to find out. There's a lot of promoters that do this. They're like, oh, Radick doesn't know what he's talking about. Radick doesn't know how to sell tickets, which is all BS because I've sold tickets for every one of them.
Yeah,
but it's something people say.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I mean, just listen to you here with these stories and having the bar down here, and I'm in the Waynesboro area, so having the bar down right, not too far from me. What was that? 310. What was that?
What?
The bar.
The 633.
633. I dealt with a promoter a couple years ago that was always talking about, I'm going to get this building, I'm going to get that building, and he could never fucking do it. Like he could never do it. He could never do it. And then I listened to Mike. I was like, Mike could run in someone's fucking bathroom. They would let him. Mike could get buildings, and this other guy, I just in my mind, I'm like, this guy shouldn't even be touching near anything with wrestling. But
I can take a guess on who, but
yeah,
we won't mention it, but yeah, I can take a guess on who.
We won't have to. He's a piece of shit. But anyway,
but I've developed a way. Like I know what defenses are already up when I'm coming into a building because I've dealt with them all before. Like I used to, it used to be hard for me to get buildings. Now it's relatively easy because my ex-wife did events and she had experience in it, and like I'd watch how she would handle things, and like I kind of started incorporating that into how I would handle things.
Yeah, well, a lot of it too is trust. You when you think wrestling, you're thinking, oh, great, you're gonna have a bunch of these fucking Neanderthals come in, and they're gonna break our shit up. They're gonna break our walls. They're gonna tear our tables and tear our chairs apart because they see the stuff on TV, and and you got to build that trust and that relationship with guys first. And you've done a great job, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like the biggest thing in business, you got to establish trust. I mean, once trust is established, like things are easy from there. And once people realize you have their best interest at heart, like you care about them more than you even care about your own business. Like, like that's what you got to get out there. But I've always had I've always known where to run. As far as I know which buildings are going to work. So I constantly got him buildings. Keep that in mind. And then he goes into a building and it was just like, hey, I'm going to continue to badger you about this building. And when you start putting two and two together, because it wasn't just that, like he was doing it with, like I'd come do sound for him from time to time when I was in town, and literally I'd walk in the building. Like, let's just say we had a 5 p.m. bell time. I'd walk in the building at 1:30, and I'll give you a particular building, Beefalo Bob's. I'd get there about 1:30, 2 o'clock. My sound system takes about 10 minutes to set up.
Mm-hmm.
I get there early because I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to get something to eat. Then we're going to go set up sound. Then we're going to start the show. Literally, the moment I walk in, he will follow me around and start asking for a sound check. It's 1:30 or 2 o'clock. The bell time's not till 5. I'm just like, dude, chill the fuck out. And you were like, no, we need to get the sound check done. He would do it in front of people. It was always in front of people. It was never when I was like privately by myself. So what does that tell you? That tells you he's that tells you exactly he's trying to belittle me in front of people.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and I mean it went on and on. And I remember the last time I went down, I was riding down with Eric, and I was like, Eric, I'm gonna let you know this right now. I was just like, if he asks for the sound check any earlier than 3:30. I'm coming in here. I'm getting food. If he asks for the sound check, I'm getting in the car and we're going back down Hagerstown.
Do you think it's because it's what he was taught? Like, how did he get into the business? How did he?
Well, he got trained by MCW. And here's the thing. I mean, and I'm not telling anybody anything they don't already know. That was a hard place to train back in the day. Like, it was a hard place to train. There were some hard asses down there running that place back in the day. They
turned out some good.
They've turned out some good wrestlers, but you could see, like, Jimmy didn't stick around there long because his quote unquote he didn't like bullies, and there was a little bit of bullying going on back then. There was, and he's a small guy, so I get it. Yeah. But then to turn around and start belittling people, like, I'll give you another good example of this, and this is what he does to people. Like David Rep, one of my best friends, he would be down there, and like people know, like David shows up and he's loyal. And I'm not saying anything that nobody knows. Like, there are better refs out there than David Rep. I'm not like, that's not me shitting on his ability or anything like that, because he's a decent ref. But I mean, it's like there's times where he messes up. I remember after a show in Arugas where Jimmy just belittled him for an hour, just told him he was the shits. Like, you need to get better. You need to, do this, do that. Like, why are you this bad being this long in a business? And I'm just sitting there just like, dude, like, make a comment about the performance and then tell him, hey, fix this next time. But don't sit there and belittle the guy for an hour after the show when he's just trying to chill out and hang with the boys. And
did he do that in front of the boys?
Oh yeah, all the time. He still does it.
Yeah, and that's and I've even heard other promoters that I listen to, like old time promoters, like they've always said like they would never do, like they'd yank somebody aside and be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Doing.
Dude, if I had a problem, there's been times where David has messed up something on a show that I've ran, that I've had him on, and like I always pull him signs like, look, dude, hey, this is what you did. This is what we need to do for next time. Like, yeah, that's the respectful and proper way to do things. Not pull somebody aside and be like, oh fuck, you're terrible. Like, and I mean this wasn't once. This was on several occasions. There would be times where he'd show up the shows and Jimmy would just he'd be paying everybody and he wouldn't pay David.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. He would just, he's like, you're not that great. And he's like, I can find other refs better to do the work for free. So I'm not paying you.
Oh,
and, dude, there were times where I had to take money out of my envelope to pay David. I was like, I'd pull Jimmy aside and like, dude, don't treat the dude like this. Like, that was several times.
Now, one other question. Okay. You said he didn't last long in MCW due to he doesn't like being bullied. Yeah, doesn't like the bully.
Yeah. But he's also like one of the biggest bullies
But first of all, again, I'm just trying to understand this guy's motivations and stuff like that, because he went from, local wrestler to a little bit of a local promoter, then to the WWE, where there were about 5 or 6 of the biggest bullies you'd ever deal with. I mean, we've heard the stories of JBL. We've heard all these, he came out of that locker room, came back to this area, and now he acts almost like every story we've ever heard about JBL, good, bad, or indifferent, how you feel about him. We've heard the stories of how JBL's, bullied and punched people, hardcore Holly, that kind of stuff. Like, do you think he took some of the stuff out of?
No. Dude, I've seen this over the years. Okay. Like, this isn't the first person. I mean, I couldn't put my finger on other people. This isn't the first person he's done it to.
Well, this is a practice that a lot of promoters have used over the years, regardless. Yeah. I mean, it's always been. I've dealt with multiple. Well, there's been a few promoters that I've dealt with, right, and one in particular, I can remember how he acted towards his guys or his referees, or this almost, I'm this elite being. I've been around the block. I've been on TV. I've been here. I've been there. Type of mentality. And they let you know exactly how it's going to be, and they do not mind letting you know.
Oh yeah, they don't mind. They don't
this
mind.
This is a practice that honestly, I think it needs to stop. I think it's okay to you got to teach your guys. Everybody's going to make mistakes. Mike makes a mistake. I guarantee there's no one that beats himself up more than Mike does when he makes a mistake, because he tries very hard at this. I'm the same way. We plan stuff out ahead of time, and if I fuck something up, man, I beat myself up for weeks about how I flubbed the line, or I flubbed the spot, or whatever. So, but again, going back, this is a practice that's been happening for years, and I believe this is just what Ellsworth has learned. Probably MCW learned.
No, dude,
carry on a tradition.
Like, I won't even say he learned it there. Like, I mean, dude, I'll say this first. The mentality down there has even changed. Like, I don't know if you've worked with any of the students coming out of the MCW Academy or the MCW Training Center that's come out in the last like 2 years. Like, all of them are just wonderful people to work with.
Yeah.
I haven't had a bad experience. Like, I'll mention a couple, like Stephen Fuerte, JB Anderson, Austin Kingsley. Like, all those guys, they come in, they're willing to help, they're really respectful. They do their job. They're willing to help the promotion. Like, it's 100%. You couldn't say a bad word about any of their students. I've had problems with guys from there in the past, but it's, that's the past. Like nothing recently. I mean, hell, I've done shows with some of the older guys down there just, in the last year, and it's been nothing but respect. Everybody comes in, does their jobs, respects what everybody's doing, and basically, there's nothing like I dealt with at ACW. I'll just say that. Go ahead.
All right. So you left after the 710 show. You had a little bad taste in your mouth. You started doing shows other places. What was really the final straw with you in Ellsworth? You went back to Hagerstown?
So yeah, I kept going back to Hagerstown. I'll tell you, the week that I left, that I quit, I had been presented an opportunity to not only get the television product up and running, but I had been presented with an opportunity to get there's a really big sponsorship on the line. And because I originally planned it for Hagerstown, and then he started chirping about, Hagerstown's my town, and I didn't want to deal with the heat because I was on the road. Like, when I said I was on the road, I did 200 days last year on the road.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was out of town a lot. Like, I was only home maybe a half a year. So, yeah. I mean, and that's it. With the work I was doing, it was very strenuous. We were doing event setup and production, mainly for surveillance systems and stuff to keep everybody safe when you're doing these major events. So, like, last year alone, like, I mean, in the last year and a half that I was working there, I did 2 Super Bowls, EDC in Vegas, Coachella, Bonnaroo, tech conventions for Zoom, Salesforce, Amazon, did a Formula One race. We were all over the damn place.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
Salesforce is terrible, by the way. I use it for my work. The app crashes constantly. Let's not get into it, though.
Yeah. No, but I'm all over the place. So I just didn't want to deal with the heat. But we were looking in Waynesboro, we were looking at Martinsburg to just try to find a building to do a bigger show, and it didn't work out. Like, the only place we were going to be able to do it is Hagerstown. We had to get one done in November to make everything work.
Gotcha.
I was trying to keep it quiet because I knew if I would have announced it, he would have screwed with it. Like, the only person.
You said no. You said nothing to Ellsworth. You just went ahead and.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure everything was official before I said something to him. So.
Oh, so you still went after you had everything? You still went and said something to him?
Yeah. And I said something to him probably a couple of hours before the announcement was made. I probably should have said something over the weekend, but I wanted to make sure everything was official before I did it. So we ended up working with a guy over at Authentic Community Theater that had a guy by the name of Robbie Soto, who had a building that we were able to use. We talked with him. He was like, look, we can set it up. Like you can kind of like work an event for us. So I was like, you know what? Okay, we'll do that. I was like, Jimmy's not having another show down here for a month and a half. He's not until the end of December. I don't think that's going to disrupt I don't think that's going to disrupt anything. The only person from ACW that knew that I was doing the show was Nick Taylor, who was sickened. Because he had to know because I was going to rent the ring from him. And I was like, and I remember having conversations. I was like, are you sure you're going to be able to rent the ring to me? He's like, Mike, we'll work it out. He kept assuring me it was going to get worked out. So I told him that morning I was in the Marriott in Union Square in San Francisco. I wake up and he calls me in the morning. He's like, please tell me you're doing a show in Hagerstown, Waynesboro, every other town. I was like, Jimmy, we're doing a show in Hagerstown. And he's like, but I run in Hagerstown. I was like, yes, we both run in Hagerstown. He's like, but I'm doing a show in December. He's like, that's going to mess with my tickets. I was like, no, it's not. It's a month and a half out. You got six weeks in between these shows for people to build their money back up. I'm selling tickets cheaper than you are. So it's not going to hurt anybody's wallets financially before Christmas. The show's taking place before Christmas. So people will still be able to buy their Christmas tickets and, all their money and use all their money on your show. It won't be a problem. He's like, I think, I'm going to let you know, you can't use any of my guys on your show. So a message went out to all the guys. If you work Radick's show, you can't work here.
Oh.
Wow.
Whoa.
I called Nick that afternoon. I was just like, look, if it's going to cause you any problems, I won't use you on the show. I just need your ring. He's like, well, unfortunately, I can't even rent you the ring. He told me if I rented you the ring that he would not rent my ring ever again. And that's 24 shows a year. So the man who gave me his word all of a sudden rescinded it. And this is somebody that assured me it was going to be okay. So I basically, at that point, Nick was a pretty steady worker for us. But at that point, I had to just be like, well, look, I wouldn't do this to any of I'm one of the boys first, and I'm always going to back the boys. However, if you're going to practice that, I was just like, look, I can't use you on any shows. I was like, you can't work for me in Hagerstown, and you're going to, put a block on Hagerstown. I can't use you on any shows.
Now, he's not your champion anymore, right?
No.
Okay.
No, we'd already had the belt on Beastman, and that was something that was coming for a while. I wanted it to happen a little bit sooner than it did, but we'll get into why it didn't at a later time. I was on the road too much to make any kind of major changes. So, me and Nick parted ways right there. Then my next call was to David Rep because I was like, if anybody, he's going to stay with me. That's my boy. I've taken care of him over the years. So I call him and I'm like, hey, you going to be there? And he's like, Mike, he's like, I can't do that show. So I'm going to put this in perspective. That guy, I have put my own money in his pocket on days where he didn't get paid from Jimmy. That's a thing that happened. And about the show that I left, all of a sudden David's involved in an angle with Mick Foley, who is his favorite wrestler. So I want you to put two and two together.
Yeah.
Well, definitely Ellsworth has a ton of influence.
Yeah,
right?
but I want you to put two and two together. He gets put in the angle with Mick Foley. Now, David had been approaching him for a couple of months about it, and conveniently, all of a sudden, Ellsworth started warming up to the idea right around the time when I was already planning this November event. He didn't know about it yet.
Yeah.
Right.
I think he knew a little bit before, and he was waiting to pull that trigger, but it was still a shitty thing to do. Number one, you shouldn't be telling the boys where they can and can't work. As a promoter, you got to understand they're independent contractors. They can work wherever they want. You're paid on your drawing power. I get why, I get the idea that promoters think if this guy works 3 other places in town, how's he going to draw for me? But dude, I look at it like this, hell, 10, 12 years ago, there were 3 promotions in Baltimore, and like a lot of the MCW guys worked there, but for some reason, MCW drew more with them than the other places did. So, is it?
I agree. I agree with you. There's a lot of guys in our area that will work everywhere, and some people call them whores or whatever. But
that's what you should be doing.
This is what they've trained to do, and this is what they want to do.
You should not be
like.
If you have a good talent that you're already booking them because you see something in them. If you have a talent that you are booking and you're telling them, hey, don't go work for this place, honestly, if I'm the talent, I wouldn't work for a person that dictated that to me, regardless of how big they were in the business. Like, that's not a thing. Like, unless you've got a contract with them and you're paying them money that is putting food on their table, that is the only reason.
Yeah,
that's honestly.
I totally agree.
That's honestly the only reason I saw even I gave Sickett even any little bit of a benefit of the doubt at first was because, I mean, he rents that ring. That's basically his living. Wrestling's his living.
Right.
So he rents that ring on the weekends to make money. So losing 24 dates, I get it. But at the same time, it's just like, I don't think Jimmy was going to fire him in the first place because he couldn't. Like, if you know what Riot City does on shows, like, they are literally the ring crew. They're running for people. They're providing extra talent when necessary. Sometimes extra talent that works for free for years.
Yeah.
Jeez.
No, and I'm sure he was probably, I mean, when it comes to money, and if that is your living, you got to protect it. So I'm sure Nick probably wasn't really thinking deep into it. Like, well, he needs me just as much as I need him. He was probably just thinking, well, I got to provide for my family, and I can't let this get away. So
no, so that's why, like, I don't have if anybody thinks I have a personal issue with Nick, I don't. I am a little upset that this was agreed to, and then you're like, hey, you could have at least said, hey, I've got to go through this because I agreed through it. After that, I won't do it anymore. Like, that would have been a perfect way around it. I don't think Jimmy probably would have fired back on it, but I mean,
now, how close to this November show did all this go down? Where
it was like the announcement happened. The announcement happened late, so I only had 3 weeks to promote.
Gotcha.
So the announcement happened late. That happened the day of the announcement. So I had 3 weeks to basically, and I had a ring in a garage at the time that I had not purchased wood for yet. So I had 3 weeks to get wood, get everything cut up, and then I had to find guardrails. Because we were in the state of Maryland and they require guardrails.
Yeah.
Yep.
Luckily, I did some quick thinking at the end, and we put tables around the ring, so it ended up providing like an extra barrier between the ringside area and where the ring is. So yeah, the commission allowed it, and we were very grateful for that. But I mean, that could have been very damaging.
Right. Wow.
And then the fallout with the guy, I mean, David's still a friend, but it's like there was some fallout there that day. Like, I told him, I was on the phone with him. I was like, dude, I don't want to speak to you anymore, dude. Like, I was just like I've helped you out so many times over there. I don't want to speak to you anymore. And some things changed that weekend. David had a family issue that weekend, and I called and reached out, and I apologized to him but I was still a little upset.
Yeah. So how much talent did you lose going into that show?
It's just the Riot City guys.
Just the Riot City guys. Okay. So
yeah, because a lot of
you were able to put on the show.
Yeah, I was able to still put on the show. Honestly, I think from a talent standpoint, that November show, we had, I want to say 100 people in attendance for it, which is great for 3 weeks out. Like, putting 100 people in a building. Like, I mean, imagine what we could have done with 6. But 100 people in the building. We had Jimmy Hart there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was I can't say anything bad about how the show went at all.
Just the stress leading up to the event.
Yeah, stress leading up to the event, and just that. Okay. I mean, that was some really dirty shit that was played.
All right, so he pulls this shit. and it almost tries to cripple your show from going off. You got it. You did a good job. 3 weeks. You got enough. You got enough promotion out there to get it to go off. You drew a little bit of people. Okay, so now moving forward, what is your relationship with Jimmy? Where did you?
Oh, there is
you
none.
just okay?
There
So
is
you have
none.
no relationship with Ellsworth at all. You've decided that you're going to do what? You're doing it all on your own. You don't care if you run in Hagerstown. I don't care.
Oh, if you're
I'm
talking
running
currently there is none.
Let-
There was
yeah,
still a bit of a relationship there for about another year, and it was
okay.
yeah, because
Even after you left.
well, so there's some loose ends to be tied up. So
Okay.
I would rent him my sound system for free.
Oh,
That's not renting.
Yeah, it's not renting. I would
That's
let
not
him.
renting.
I lended him my sound system for free during 2022. In exchange for, I was just like, look, you get my sound system, I get a Pennsylvania license rental. You know, that seems fair.
Sure.
It's going to even out the same money. So he's like, okay. I rented my sound system about 10 times. So in 2023, when I started running in Pennsylvania, I get 10 license rentals. So there was still a bit of I will say he was a man of his word and kept that, because that was something that we had talked about, and we had talked about it over Messenger. So it was written out, and that's what it was.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Go.
So there was still a bit of a business relationship, but he was still giving me shit for running in Hagerstown. I remember after that, like I had a couple of people that were still involved with him that worked for me, like behind the scenes. So like, I'll give you a good example. Eric Ecton still stuck around and like helped tear down the rig everywhere that we went. We used him on shows in Pennsylvania, but he's like, look, I can't work Hagerstown because he's going to give me some shit about it. But then, you know, a couple months later, they're starting to kind of treat him like shit. So he comes back and he's like, well, what deal can you give me? And I gave him like a financial deal. I was just like, look, this is what I can give you per show. I can give you incentives on tickets. I'm thinking, okay, well, this is going to put an end to it all, because Jimmy's not giving anybody incentives on anything. He's just giving them a flat rate or nothing at all.
Right.
Him and Ron decided to stay with Jimmy. Jimmy apparently gave him a raise, which is funny how that happened. You know, right when he found out what I was paying him.
Right.
But we still have a loose business relationship. Where things started going south was, if you remember the downtown show in June of last year.
Yep.
So I called him in probably April, once everything was solidified with that. And I was like, look, just letting you know, we're going to be running downtown. We're doing free events downtown. And like, I know you got your show at the end of the month. We're doing our show June 2nd there. This shouldn't affect your ticket sales. He's like, oh, well, now you're running a free show so people can see wrestling for free. And now, you know, that's really going to hurt my sales. He's like, you're hurting me more doing this. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, I'm just, yeah. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like,
wait a minute. When was his show?
His show was June, I want to say it was like June 30th. He had an end.
When was your show?
Show was June 2nd.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, it was June 2nd or June 3rd.
I know a guy who just pulled the exact same move and gave away a free show to put a foot in the ass of a guy who came into our town and tried to start some shit. We knew what we were doing when we ran a free show. You didn't think that was going to affect his business at all?
A month away? No.
Sure.
Well, yeah, a month away. Like, I didn't think it was going to affect his business at all. And in fact, so I'll give you a good example here. And this could have been a business deal for him. Country Club hit us up about, they like hit me up, I want to say 4 weeks out from the show. And they're like, hey, we'd like to be a part of it. It's mainly LK that hit me up. And I was just like, I have no problem bringing you on, but you might want to check with Jimmy because I know you work for him and he's got a big thing about his talent working for me. I said that to him right off the bat. I was like, I got no problem booking you, but you might want to check first. So he's like, oh, Jimmy's not going to have a problem with it. So they confirmed with me. I announced the match, and I'm talking within an hour. He was on the phone with them, firing them.
Wow.
And these were guys, like I'm going to tell you, you want to talk about guys that push tickets in Hagerstown? LK and LK, and I mean Hoss too, like just great talents. Like they push tickets to shows like nobody's business here in town. Like people loved them here.
Right.
So
Wow.
they were kind of taken back from it. They're like, "Are you serious right now?"
Why did you decide to run a free show?
Well, here's my, and this is God's honest truth. This is my vision for Voltage from the beginning. I wanted this, and this is my last. Like I looked at this as my last like run in wrestling because, dude, I'm 40 now. Like I'm getting older. Like I've only got so much more time I can do this. You know, it is what it is. I wanted this to be like the local promotion, like what NWL used to mean down here before it kind of got out of whack, you know? Right. I wanted to use this as a vehicle to like do community outreach to just really just bring something positive to the community. And, you know, I talked about it with a couple of people. They're like, look, let's set up some free events in Hagerstown. We haven't had free events here in a while. I at first questioned how that was going to happen because it was like you're going to need a lot of sponsors to do that because Maryland's still going to want their cut.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I figured 2 free shows a year, that'll be, you know, my contribution to the deal. I didn't think it was going to be any problem at all, especially being a month away. And with Country Club coming on the show, I was just like, well, if you come on the show, I have no problem with you, you know, putting out Jimmy's flyers because I know he's got a show with Enzo at the end of the month. It might be a good little vehicle to promote the show. He didn't see it that way. Yeah. He's like, no, we got to keep everything separate, even the referees, logistics, the whole thing. This is just how I do things.
Well, and just the idea of a free show, and play devil's advocate against Jason here for a sec. If you think about it this way, you're running a free show.
Yeah.
So the community and the town, you know, the people there, you know, you're giving yourself away for free. They don't have to pay to get in, which means that when wrestling comes there, you know, a month later, then they still have the money that they could have spent on your show to go to his show.
Yes, remember the conversation. Remember the conversation I told you about earlier where he was saying, oh, it's going to take people like a month to build their money back up.
Yeah.
It's going to take them 2 months to build their money back up. They don't have money down there, which is, brother, I hate to tell you, the economy in Hagerstown has changed significantly over the years. Like, we've got money down here.
Yeah.
I don't think it's even about a money thing. Wrestling fans love wrestling.
Yeah.
They go to wrestling. That's what wrestling fans do. They watch it. They live it. They want to be it. They anytime they can get, even little scrubs like myself, people want to take pictures with, and like people want to be. Mike, I'll take a picture with you if you want to. People want to be close to that type of thing. Families will drive through at McDonald's and spend $50 on fucking 4 meals or 5 meals for their family. How much is to go to a wrestling show?
Yeah.
10 to $25, you know, depending on what promotion, you know.
Yeah, I'm not taking $20 out of their pocket like I would normally do in like Waynesboro or Martinsburg. Like, you know, that's my average ticket price. I'm not taking that money out of their pocket this time. They've got that money to go spend at Ellsworth's event a month later. And you're gonna get stars at his event because, I mean, we really haven't had, I don't think we've booked a name on an event since Eugene last January.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? Like that's the last name we've booked on an event. We've been basically.
Yeah, and actually we tried to piggyback off of you. I think we tried to get Eugene to come in for us on a Saturday, but he had to go somewhere or something. I'm not sure.
It was dude, his schedule was busy that weekend. But no, I was looking to do that with you. I want to say I was looking to do that with you guys because a weekend, you get a weekend loop for the guy. It makes everybody easy to do business with.
Yep.
Well, what was the reaction that you got from the free shows?
From the fans, it was incredible. So I remember that first one especially because we brought in like, as far as like, we didn't bring in any names other than like Delirious, like but I would consider him just like a star of wrestling, not like a name like a household.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we brought Delirious in from Ring of Honor. I know we had Facade on that show. Beastman was on that show. So we had all our major players at the event. And
Right.
I mean, from top to bottom, that first one was really solid.
Yeah,
it was a good event.
I remember seeing the crowd of that. It was a good show. It was a good show.
No, but we did that first show. It was well received. The one thing I noticed after that is Jimmy went and booked every available Hagerstown wrestler that he had already not had on the show. I mean, dude, I'm talking like Kid Mike was on that show. Like, yeah, dude. I mean, I'm talking down. Like, I'm not shitting on anybody.
Yeah.
When I say that, I'm just like,
I get it.
It was like guys that normally don't work Hagerstown or work in Hagerstown all of a sudden.
Sure. Wow.
Yeah. Now, with the country club,
guys that don't know better would say, "Oh my God, James Ellsworth called me, and I'm going to work for James Ellsworth."
Well, yeah,
right, and that's
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like there for a while when we came to Hagerstown. It was like me and Corey Bush was the only locals.
Oh wow.
And it's like I mean, I know it was increasingly frustrating for him because, dude, I still remember one show we worked. Corey handed him it was like $800 or $900 in sales. It was one of the big time wrestling events, and like if you do the ticket prices for that, you knew. I mean, that was a pretty significant house when we're putting 1,500 people in the building, and they're all paid for. Like you got a couple of comps out there, but they're mostly all paid for.
Yeah.
You got 1,500 people coming into a building. You got to figure when your top ticket price is like $90 for those events. I mean, you're figuring probably a $50,000 house right there.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And yeah,
sounds like the next ATCW show. Yeah.
I hope that happens. I hope
we run out. Me too. I don't because we run out of chairs. we run out of chairs. The last
y'all are doing well down there now. Y'all are doing well.
Yeah, it's crazy how again. We are trying to be like the big boys. We try to be like Voltage, right? I mean, we don't have the production value and some of the talent that Voltage has, but we look at other guys in the area and we see what they do, right? We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to jump on the wheel and not get run over by it, right? So we see the good things that you guys do and WDWA and even the little promotions that aren't as good, we look at what they do too. I mean, if you're
I remember having this. I had this conversation with Chucky about a year ago, and like I'll reach out to you guys every once in a while. I saw you at the bar and was just like putting over what you guys did, but like I noticed we started kind of doing the podcast stuff and like the really upgraded videos, and then you guys started doing them. I was just like, I like it. They're stepping up their game too. It's just like, dude, rising tides raise all ships.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, dude, I don't even look at it like there's some people that are trying to say, oh no, they're biting off of you, and I'm just like, no, this is good. Like everybody's stepping up their game, and everybody's figuring out how to do it. It makes everybody better. Yeah,
we want the same thing you do. And again, I started this part one off of this saying that good or bad, I want to work with every promotion.
Yeah.
One way or another, I want to work with every promotion because it means betterment of wrestling for the fan. Because I'm a fan. I love wrestling. I've always loved wrestling. I've always watched wrestling. I've watched it from when I was a child to the idiot that I am now watching wrestling. So, and I want it to be a good product all the way around. If that means I got to work with Summit, or if I got to work with Voltage, right? And again, I appreciate you allowing me to work with you, work for you. We got a show coming up, brother. We got a show coming up.
December 29th.
I'm getting my I think I'm gonna have my promo together tonight. I bought for the fans and the people of Waynesboro. I'm gonna be handing out gifts. I'm going to be handing out gifts. I bought everybody gifts in Waynesboro, and this is something that everyone needs. This is not a want. This is a need, these people in Waynesboro. So Waynesboro, Chambersburg, area, you're going to get you should get where you're located. Go ahead, give us that. Give us the location. Give us everything about that show coming up.
December 29th. This is going to be at the Quincy Community Center, just about a mile or two outside of Waynesboro.
Yep.
We have a new building in Waynesboro proper that we're going to be starting at in January, but for right now, we're going to be outside of Waynesboro on this one, just a little bit. It's out on Anthony Highway, the Quincy
Community Center. Yes.
Yes, Quincy Community Center. It's out on Anthony Highway there in Waynesboro. Just a short drive out. It's going to be a great show from top to bottom. This is probably one of the more stacked cards we've had in at least a year. And listen, yes, Mike, Jonathan Cross is on it.
You do not have to tell everybody.
Your boys wrestling for the belt.
AK, baby. AK is wrestling for the belt.
You arranged for him to answer the hit on Mr. Grimm.
Well, I mean, we've had our sights on Grimm for a long time. And it's honestly,
I know you're not going to tell me. I know you're not going to tell me who's behind it. We're trying to figure out who's behind it.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into that, but I tell you what, if I was going to pull a James Ellsworth and book your finish ahead of time, I know how I would do it. I know how I would do it. But anyway, let's.
Can I jump in here with something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to stop the plug. I don't mean to do that.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, jerk.
But no, something that I've been thinking about ever since, something you said in the first episode about, the fact that, we're not reaching the full wrestling audience that
we're not.
Could. And, wrestling is just like a lot of things nowadays. Wrestling is a specialty market. There are a lot of people out there that either would love to, who still do go to shows, people who are, kind of sit back and follow wrestling in some form or another, whether they go or they see stuff online and just kind of follow it that way and give their support that way. But it is a specialty market, and it's something that you have to work together to reach out to that whole community to bring them in. And you were saying earlier that there are people out there that will go to all four promotions in an area, and they'll meet with people and commune with people and be like, hey, do you know about this promotion down the road? You might want to check them out. And I'm not going to name names.
Dude, it's
yeah.
And dude, I'll say this too. It's like you get a lot of diehards that will go to all four shows.
Yeah.
And one of the big things I'll say, if you see a diehard not going to a show,
there's something wrong.
Well, no, if you see a diehard not going to a show anymore, like the show that they once went to, usually it's because of how they were treated.
Yeah. Well,
go ahead.
And that goes into my point exactly. I'm not going to name names, but those are in the Hardway community know that I myself am a big toy collecting fan. And there's one store out there that likes to think it's the hot shit, likes to think it's, the big game, that wants to be the only game in town. And the issue I have with that, is this, like, toy collecting, wrestling, just like toy collecting, is a niche business. You have to work together with everyone else in the area to bring people into your market and be like, because you may not have something that a toy collector, one store may not have something that a toy collector wants, but they refer you to another shop down the road and say, hey, check out this place. They might have what you're looking for. Check out with this place. And, they refer each other's business back and forth. And that's, a big thing to me, like what Jason was saying earlier about he, as a promoter and as a booker, he wants to work with, everybody in the area. And, it just in fan interaction as well, that's what it needs to be. Like, we need to be working with each other and talking. And when you get someone who is closing the door to that and wanting,
like, and and this is a big thing too. I'll say this. There are times where you can't work with somebody.
Yeah,
There are times.
it's always going to be that kind.
Yeah, there are times where you can't work with something. There's promoters in the area that I don't work with.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, if that promoter called me and they needed help with something, like, yeah, I'd go out and help them. Like, there's been times like that, but it's like there's some promoters where I'm just like me and their ideologies on wrestling are going to be like oil and water.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a good idea, like, to mix. But at the same time, I'm going to go out and, like, if they call me and they're like, hey, I need help with this or I need help with that, like, I'm going to go out and help them.
Yeah.
You know, but there are also times, like, if you're getting burned by a promoter, you can't be in business with somebody you can't trust.
Yeah. No.
And the thing is, it's like over the last 9 years working where I worked, I have done everything I possibly could to build trust with the people that are like, there's one thing that was reliable, and I'm talking for a number of years, basically until I got that job on the road. There was one person that you knew was going to be at a show. It was going to be me. And like, I have seen the best and the worst coming out of that company. You know, I mean, they were the underdogs at one point in time. It's like it took a long time for them to build that following and build that crowd, but it was just of all the people to get obtuse with about running in a town when you know that person's not going to do anything to fucking legitimately, like, screw you over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never understood it. And
you don't have to, and that's another thing. And I have this discussion with Chucky all the time. I might not like everybody.
Yeah.
Right? I might not, and I choose not to work with certain guys now.
Yep.
Like, there's certain guys that I just like, hey, I wish you all the best. It's just not going to be with me, right? It's just not, you're not my cup of tea. It is what it is. You know, it is what it is. But, I don't have to, if I don't like Mike Radick, like, I'm sick of that ugly hat he wears, whatever. I'm not gonna shit on him to everybody and his brother. I don't need to do that. I can have my own opinion and keep it to myself.
But it is a nice hat. It is a nice hat, Jason.
So you say, don't wear it on the 29th. You might get it knocked off your head. I just think I think you can do business a better way. And a lot of times in wrestling, it's just not like that. People would rather tear you down than build you up. And I'd rather not work like that. And I from what I understand, Mikey Radick doesn't like to work like that either.
No, I have 3 rules that I follow when doing business. Don't mess with somebody's money. Don't mess with somebody's trust. Don't mess with somebody's family. 9 times out of 10, if you follow those 3 rules,
sure,
everything's going to be okay. Now, what people like, there's always confusion over that stuff, because there's some people that will think that you're messing with their money, which in this situation I wasn't.
Yeah.
I can tell you this right now, like, I do not have the money to go into a competition with a former WWE superstar. I'm going to tell you that firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
I do what I can with what I have. I'm smart on the production aspects of things. It comes with the territory of working 8 years in television, doing another 10 years in IT. That has been my professional career. I've worked a lot of major events. I've helped people. I've helped promotions here around the area increase their following. That's a big part of my identity over the last 4 years, is just helping promotions increase their followings, increase their brand awareness and their identity. Anybody who's worked with me will tell you that. I just don't understand why it had to end up like that. Like,
right.
I had to end up where I, all of a sudden I'm public enemy number 1.
Right. Now, do you still feel, and we're going to get wrapped up here soon. Right? I'm not going to keep you as much longer. And I hope we answered everybody's questions, and we hope, Mike, do you think we've gotten enough information out there on the situation? I know you wanted to, I appreciate you using our platform to get this out. Hopefully we did you justice here and got a little bit of information out there.
Yeah.
Do you, going forward with Voltage, do you think this has been a good thing that you're just on your own now? You're not, are you still feeling repercussions from James Ellsworth?
Oh, dude, every day I feel repercussions from. Like, I'll give you a good example of this. Right after that first free event, I started noticing, and this is a common practice. You already know where I'm going to go with this. This is a common practice in the wrestling businesses where you go out and flyer. You come back like 3 days later, and all your flyers are gone. Yeah. So
I remember you posting that. I think I remember you posting something on Facebook about that.
Yeah. So I'll give you a good. This is where shit has kind of gone. I got a call from Ellsworth in like July, and he's like, I put a flyer up at the Broadex, and now it's gotten torn down. And he's like, I don't know who's tearing down my flyers in Hagerstown, but it needs to stop. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know you could hang flyers in the Broadex, because I've never I've been going there for years. Right. I'm parked up there for years. I've never seen one of his flyers in the Broadex.
I don't think Big Bob's letting anybody put
no. I don't even dude. I'm a regular customer. I probably drop a considerable amount of money in that bar a year, and yeah, they're in pennies. Like I can tell you, I dropped some money there in pennies, but I can tell you, I've never asked to put up a flyer there, because it's just like, why are you going to put up a flyer for events at a bar? Like, I'm running mostly bar shows. I'm not going to put up my flyer in another bar. That's just bad business to even allow it.
Yeah.
I've never seen one of his flyers there, but he says it got tore down. That's, maybe they put one up. I've just never seen it there.
Well, first off, who would have tore it down? I mean, it could have been anybody.
No,
could have been the owner. If he just threw it up on the wall, or somebody just threw it up on the wall, yeah, it probably got torn down because there wasn't permission there. But
no, so basically what happens after this, I start noticing my flyers getting torn down. So I call him about it. I was like, dude, I just had 3 or 4 of mine torn down. And I'm calling out of concern, because I'm just like, who the fuck's got a problem with wrestling? Because if yours is getting torn down and mine's getting torn down, there's something going on.
Right.
Then I put up that post, and there was somebody that commented on the post, and he's like, it happens to me all the time. That's why I got to look for just different ways to promote. And I'm sitting there, and this guy's been in the business for like 2 years. Guy works for Jimmy. His name's Kevin Jones. He's one of Riot City students. But I was just like, that's weird. But it wasn't really weird because, he's around or whatever. But then all of a sudden, I had 3 messages within the next couple of days. I get a voicemail from a friend that, knows all parties. I get another voicemail from a wrestler naming this guy specifically. And then I get a third voicemail. This is like 4 or 5 days later, from somebody that's outside of the wrestling business. They're like, call me back. So I call him and I mention it. He's like, yeah. He's like, dude, I'm going to be honest with you. He's like, dude, I was on a Sheets a couple of days ago, and I saw him with one of your posters in his hands. Now, somebody could be lying. I did not see him do this. I want to really preface this. I did not see him tear down a poster. But I started putting 2 and 2 together. I'd go out on a Friday. I'd put the posters up on a Friday in Sheets. And, there's multiple Sheets around the area, and they're a great place to hang flyers because they got the community board usually one of the entrances. So I started putting them up on a Friday. I would go back and check on Sunday. Half of them would be down. Monday, all of them would be gone. So I'm like, man. I remember on the chat, Tate Griffin had mentioned this. He was like, man, that's a hell of a concerted effort. I was like, yeah, it's a little weird, don't you think? And it got me thinking. It was like, well, who could really put the time and energy into doing this? Well, I put 2 and 2 together. The guy I mentioned earlier is an Amazon driver.
Oh,
and what do you see parked at Sheets all the time? Amazon trucks. I was just like, okay, that makes sense. You're out on the road. You're stopping into these places all the time. It's easy to scrap them off the.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I can't say it was him, but I'm pretty sure it was.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, that's some old school bullshit there. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, Tyler Steele used to do that shit to me all the time. Like he'd go like the one thing about him, I'll say, he would tear him down in front of your face. Oh yeah, like I remember, dude. This is years ago. This is the first show I ever promoted. I was running on March 4th. He was running on March 3rd. He had Ruckus and Scott Fowler at the top of his bill. I had Ruckus and Scott Fowler. So I go fly to the Tough Man contest. We go out there. I put all the flyers on the car. Keep in mind, I'd already broken even on that show. I think we had 150 sold already. So I'd already broken even on the show. This was just to get extra fans in.
Sure.
I go up to Dairy Queen to get something to eat real quick. Then I come back down to finish flyer, and all our flyers are gone and replaced with Primal Conflict Wrestling flyers. So he also on this, I'm working at the time, so I'm there covering the Tough Man contest for NBC 25. We didn't have to go in yet, so I'm just while I'm there, I'm just gonna put the flyers in the car. He comes up to me. He's like, Mike, it's a dog-eat-dog world. He's like, Eastern Panhandle's only big enough for one promotion, and that promotion's going to be Primal Conflict Wrestling. If you ever met Tyler, you know that southern drawl he's got to his voice. Like,
where's Primal at now?
Not around anymore.
Oh, no shit. No shit.
No, and it's like, dude, here's the thing. He ran a really good product. It's just, man, he was an asshole sometimes.
Yeah.
God, he was an asshole. So he tore him down in front of my face, and I was just like, okay. And he's like, I'm lucky to get 100 people with this show. And I was like, well, I've already got 165 pre-sold, so this really didn't bother me. And I don't get me wrong, I was steamed about it, but I was also working. So you're going in there with the NBC 25 T-shirt on. You're going in there with the T-shirt. You're representing the company, so I can't flip out or anything.
Right.
I can't get mad about it. I was just like, yeah, whatever. I went inside, did my thing, and then I think we did 312 on the day of the show.
Oh, that's wow.
Yeah, that was a hell of a debut.
Yeah,
I got news coverage on it, so I know. It was just karma did her work.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this up, Mike. Thank you so much. I hope we didn't bore too many people with these old wrestling stories, but I think you needed to get it out there. I think you needed to get this off your chest. A lot of people don't know a lot of the behind the scenes stuff when it comes to wrestling. They only
I didn't even get to them stealing breakaways from me. I didn't even get to that. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. You talking about the warehouse out behind breakaways?
Oh yeah. I was supposed to run there in November. There was supposed to be no wrestling shows coming in before me. And I was wondering why they kept delaying the contract signing. And it turns out because they were going to book Ellsworth and Kurt Angle. And
oh,
so if you're wondering why Voltage was supposed to be in town in November, and that didn't happen.
Oh, gotcha. So, now, did they November of? Oh, so did they run a show in November?
They ran a show. I want to say their Kurt Angle show was October 16th or something. So they got in there.
Building at Breakaway behind
Breakaway. October 16th or October 25th. They had Kurt Angle in there.
You know what's funny? They're terrible at promotion because I never know when Adrenaline's coming to town. Not that I would go anyway, but I never know. Never know. Never see it. And I follow Adrenaline's page.
They did Jimmy says he did 500. There was about 275 in there. I had a couple of waitresses tell me. Still, I'm going to tell you this right now. That's still a respectable crowd, but
sure. But that's I love that to promote that. I've heard that from other promoters.
If you're counting the autograph tickets on top of the actual seats, maybe you got 500. But
I tell Chucky, hey, stop counting the workers.
Yeah. You guys actually draw close to what you say you're drawing, though.
Oh yeah, no, we actually keep track of it coming through the door and that kind of stuff. So, and we give out some comps like everyone else does, but we don't give near the. There's a promotion I work with out of Virginia. I don't know how they make any money or if they make any money. There's 60 people in the building before 4 hours before the event starts, and they're the same 60 people that are there when the event starts. So I don't know how they make any money or keep track of it, but I've seen some shit. So anyway, thank you again, Mike, for one last thing before you go. Just tell everybody. I know you got. Are you not giving up the event information coming in January where you're going to be in Waynesboro?
The first one's going to be a Friday night. We are going to do a Thursday show in March or April, I believe, but the first one's going to be on Friday night. It is an upgrade from every building that we've ran in. I believe that's saying something. It is. I mean, 633 Brewing was a wonderful place to run. It was such a beautiful. It kills me that it was such a beautiful building ran by wonderful people. Kevin and Heather Barrick are just the best people. Salt of the earth, man, just great human beings. I'm really upset we're not running there anymore. I'll just say that they were friends, but we're in a good spot. It's even an upgrade from that, which is really saying something because it was a beautiful building, and you'll hear more about that likely within the coming week.
Okay.
Nice.
But December 29th, Quincy Community Center, Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. A stacked card. Mr. Grimm and AK with Jonathan Cross are going to be wrestling for the Voltage Grand Championship. The number one contenders match, Beastman versus Facade. That is going to be a barn burner. Nice and smooth. Tom Mitchell and Trace Parker going up against Dog Nation.
And if you've not seen Dog Nation before, in my mind, they are the top tag team in this area.
Absolutely.
Great workers. Great.
Fantastic workers. We have Valerie Verman coming in to face Danny Moe. Danny Moe's return from injury. I know I'm missing one. LK is going to have his last match.
I did see that.
Yeah, LK is going to have his last match, one half of the Country Club. We're going to be announcing what that match will be this week. We were hoping to do it Friday, but it will happen this week of what we're going to be doing with that match.
Right on.
So.
Well, is there tickets still available? We haven't sold out yet.
Yes, there are.
I thought that we'd be getting all kinds of
tickets. I'm going to tell you, tickets are moving unusually fast.
Yeah.
But if you would like to get tickets are still available. Great seats do still remain. You want to get them here very soon. We also have group 4-packs for $60. $60 for tickets. That's $15 a ticket. $5 savings on each ticket from the normal $20 we do for general admission. You can get those tickets at www.voltagewrestling.com.
Yeah, we'll put the link in the description and all that stuff and make sure that we want to sell that place out. It is a big building. It is a larger building, a long building, and that place will hold what do you think? 600 people?
I'm pretty sure we're going to we have room for 500 people in there if we need it.
Well, if people are going to be standing outside watching through the window, do not miss out. Do
not miss out on this one.
Yep.
But, all right, guys, it was a pleasure. We laughed, we cried, we spilled some tea.
We laughed.
Yes, thank you so much, Mike. Again, go like, subscribe, ring the bell on YouTube, Facebook. I actually think I did not run this on. I don't know if I ran this on. Yeah, no, I did. It's on.
No, you're on.
I'm sorry.
Everything right now.
So make sure you go like and subscribe. Go to Voltage Wrestling, their Facebook page. Go to their YouTube. If you've never seen a Voltage show, you got to see a Voltage show. If you need to get caught up, go to their YouTube page. They have. You just released something here recently on your YouTube page, correct?
Yes, we're actually. 1 second here. Sorry.
Yep.
We actually just released the latest episode of Thursday Night Lightning. Thursday Night Lightning is airing. If you're in Washington County, you're in the Hagerstown area, you can watch us on Antietam Cable, channel 806. But if you're not, you can watch the replays on YouTube. They air every Monday at 7:30. We're going to get a lot more consistent with that here going forward. But yes, a half-hour weekly wrestling show. You won't be disappointed. The wrestling, great action, and yeah, we hope to see you there.
Right on. All right. Well, for Scotty and Mike, I am Jonathan Cross. Actually, I'm Jason, but today. But we appreciate you guys hanging out, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time, guys.